better be ready to be entertained and informed and have a little bit of fun, too. I'll start this thing in just a couple seconds. Hi, Bobby. How are you? Felix and you guys? And Paul Japa. Let's do this, shall we? In 3, 2, on. Okay, kids, welcome to the show. I hope you had a wonderful Independence Day, 4th of July, and I hope also that some of the bull crap that's happening around the country has not dampened your patriotism. In fact, if anything, it's strengthened mine. There's only so many days of seeing the country burn and monuments being taken down and all of this and flags being burned in cities like Washington, D.C. today, and we'll get to all that very shortly. But there's only so much you can take. And honestly, I talked to a guy today at a store, and I talked about how, and we'll share very shortly, how's the hair looking here? I haven't shaved in a couple of days, so. But I was talking to a guy at a store today, and I said, in L.A., the mayor, Gil Garcetti, said absolutely no fireworks. And last night, L.A. looked like Washington, D.C., and people were celebrating and people were firing off fireworks, and it was a giant FU to that dickweed and Democrats everywhere who have shut down the country and their followers who they've not condemned, who have burned buildings and looted buildings and wrecked the place and torn down statues and burned our flag and all of that, and we're just effing tired of it. And last night was a part of that, and I think there is a great awakening coming. It's already here. And the Democrat Party and the left in this country have no idea what's going to hit them. It's going to be big, it's going to be bad, and it's going to be ugly. And it's going to be in my mom. I was talking to my mom today, and she's like, "What's going to happen in November?" I said, "Joe Biden's going to get his ass handed to him." First of all, he's an incoherent old man who should have had his car keys taken away a decade ago. He is not in any condition to run for the president when you've got 38% of all Americans saying that he is experiencing the first the stages of dementia. So I'm confident in the future. I'm confident in the good people of the United States of America, and they don't like seeing things burned, and they don't like monuments being taken down, and they don't care about Christopher Columbus, and they certainly do care about George Washington and Abe Lincoln and Thomas Jefferson, the architects of this imperfect union at the time. But it has created the greatest engine of individual economic freedom in the history of mankind. No country in the history of this world has freed more people economically and physically than the United States of America. And without the United States of America, I hate to tell you this, we'd probably all be a bunch of nomadic tribes and people still living in countries like old Germany and China and Japan, still living in relative squalor. This country revolutionized the world, changed the world for the better. So get off America. Okay? Okay. Hello, Richard and Dave, among others. Let's see who's watching over here. And, there you go. Thanks for joining me on both channels. We got Rob Carson Show and Rob Carson. Let's get started, shall we? Because we've got a lot of stuff to get to as the show progresses. And again, this is a live interactive TV program that you can comment on in real time. I need to figure out how to get all your comments up here on the screen so you can see them. Here is the president. He did let's start with his speech yesterday at the White House. And the massive show of military might above the White House and Washington, D.C. It was an inspirational performance. And, of course, there were protests around the country and things were burned. But most of the American people are proud of their country, and they reacted to this. Fireworks in the background.
We are now in the process of defeating the radical left the Marxists, the anarchists, the agitators, the looters, and people who, in many instances, have absolutely no clue what they are doing.
And have no clue what they've started.
That is why we pay tribute to generations of American heroes whose names have etched on our monuments and memorials and in the pages of history and in the hearts of a very grateful people. We will never allow an angry mob to tear down our statues, erase our history, indoctrinate our children, or trample on our freedoms. That burns brightly.
And there's a long shot from the socially distanced people in the crowd, I guess. Yeah, it's a social distancing. Parker, how are you? Sherry. Marco, welcome to the show. The president also spoke at Mount Rushmore. Mount Rushmore is the latest target of the left. They're saying they want to tear down the Mount Rushmore, and some Native American tribes want to tear down Mount Rushmore, and that's not going to happen. And I'll tell you, to the rabble who assembled at Mount Rushmore and say they want the land back and all that stuff, and this is going to piss some people off. You're going to have to show me how the land was ever owned. Okay. The world was populated by nomadic tribes a couple hundred years ago, and they wandered the land. They did not own the land, and it didn't just happen in America. It happened in Europe, it happened in China, it happened in Russia, it happened in England, it happened all over the world. Nomadic tribes roamed the land. There was there were some civilized, societies and cities and whatnot, but by and large, much of the land was unclaimed, and it's the way of the world, and it sucks. But show me which of your ancestors, give me an exact name, and what piece of land they owned that was taken from them. I mean, what happened in America was ugly, but it happened all over the world, and the land that exists on the planet has changed hands time and time again, and there's nothing we can do about that. And it's not going to. If you're a big believer in it, I mean, if you really believe that we stole the land, then I would suggest you bulldoze your home and turn over the land to whomever you may, whichever aggrieved party claims to own your property from hundreds of years ago. Okay? All right? I hate to tell you this, but there are a lot of places in the world that still suck. A lot of things that have happened in this country, should we be proud of? No. But some things we should be very proud of. And again, being the greatest engine of economic and individual freedom in the history of mankind is one of them. President spoke at Mount Rushmore. That said, here is the president at Mount Rushmore the night before last.
There could be no better place to celebrate America's independence than beneath this magnificent, incredible, majestic mountain monument to the greatest Americans who have ever lived. Today we pay tribute to the exceptional lives and extraordinary legacies of George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Abraham Lincoln, and Teddy Roosevelt. I am here as your president to proclaim before the country and before the world, this monument will never be desecrated. These heroes will never be defaced. Their legacy will never, ever be destroyed. Their achievements will never be forgotten. And Mount Rushmore will stand forever as an eternal tribute to our forefathers and to our freedom.
There you go. Okay. Amen. And I got to tell you, I've never been to Mount Rushmore. I want to. Now more than ever. I want to go to Mount Rushmore. We should do a trip. What do you say? Well, let's get together. We'll hang out. It'll be awesome. Here, the president is talking about cancel culture because, George Floyd died in Minneapolis. He was murdered by a police officer up there. And suddenly, Aunt Jemima needed to be removed from the label. Mrs. Butterworth needs to go away. The Redskins need to change their name. Let's see what else. black actors can't do white actors can't do black voices anymore, like on The Simpsons. What else? What else is going on? Christopher Columbus has to get out of the public square. Thomas Jefferson has to come down. All this because George Floyd died, which shows you that George Floyd has nothing to do with this. This is all radical anarcho-communist bullshit, wet dream of class 1968, and they're using George Floyd as a springboard for this effing nonsense. Here's the president talking about cancel culture.
One of their political weapons is cancel culture, driving people from their jobs, shaming dissenters, and demanding total submission from anyone who disagrees. This is the very definition of totalitarianism. And it is completely alien to our culture and to our values, and it has absolutely no place in the United States of America.
I don't think his handshaking there, having the water like he did the other day, because he saluted 600 people. That's why he had his handshaking at West Point. This is interesting. Twitter is going crazy, saying that tonight, the Entertainment Tonight host Mary Hart, she's 69 years old, that she flashed a white power signal. Okay, so Mary Hart of Entertainment Tonight flashed a white power signal at Mount Rushmore. Check this out. She did the OK sign. Okay, so the OK sign now is white power. Watch this.
We welcome you, President Trump, our First Lady Melania, and your whole family.
All right, all you white supremacists out there, this is Mary Hart, the retired host of Entertainment Tonight, giving you marching orders as white supremacists everywhere.
There are so many people I want to introduce very quickly.
Yes,
but
go ahead,
I want
Mary.
to say thank you, Governor Noem, for making this possible.
Here it comes. Your marching orders are coming from Mary Hart, the former host of Entertainment Tonight.
And thank you to you incredible...
There it is right there. There it is. Mary Hart is flashing you the white power signal. There it is.
Audience.
There can be no mistake. Mary Hart. I mean, see that? You see that thing she's wearing there? Do you know how easy that little shawl could turn into a white hood?
You have been here for hours today, and it was only 125 degrees out here in the sun. And you're not only seated here, you are up there, and you are...
Did she just... Wait a minute. Is she about ready to do the Heil Hitler thing?
Beyond.
That's what it looks like. Oh, is that the tomahawk chop? Could be the tomahawk chop.
So you are just spectacular for being here.
There she is, flashing the white power sign. No, seriously. This is she made an appearance, used the white power hand gesture, left some members shocked and social media's outraged. Okay, I'm going to show you something real quick. Everything's okay. I'm not a white supremacist. This is not flashing a white power signal. I'm saying, hey, I'm okay. All right. So if you that's somehow a white power signal, you can suck it, and you're an idiot. Okay, you're an idiot if you think that. And honestly, this is another way to tag people like Mary effing Hart, formerly of Entertainment Tonight. You're going to say she's a freaking white supremacist? Are you out of your effing nut? Dear God. Okay, Marco says, Rob, Carson, they will never take the mariachi man off our Mexican Tapatio hot sauce bottles. Oh, they might. They took away the Frito Bandito. You millennials don't remember that. There was a character called the Frito Bandito because he liked Fritos and he'd steal them, I guess. I don't even remember that. But anyway, it happened a long time ago. Wow. Hart appeared to flash the sign while thanking the 75. Yeah, she did. It was a white power. Guys, hold on. What's this? Hold on. This is double white power. Yeah, that's what it is. It's double white. I just flashed the double white power sign there because I'm a white supremacist. God. I'm titling the show today. It's 5 o'clock in America. Have you been called a racist today? Because I'm getting called racist all the time, and it's like, whatever. F you. I'm done. Honestly, I'm really, really, really done with you people, with Jeremy and Mike and Michael and Kaylin and all you people who are calling me racist. I'm just effing done with you people. Honestly, I'm not a racist, never have been, and just so done. You lose an argument when you start saying the word racist. One idiot, one big fat dope that I used to work with calls me racist Rob, which is really funny. You're a big fat dope. Oh, here we go. Oh, this is the blocking of the entrance to Mount Rushmore, by the way. They tried to. A lot of these people have since been arrested, by the way.
I got you.
Shut the hell up!
Where you came from?
Now, you see the vans that those morons are standing on? They took the tires off of the block traffic.
That was the vocal response to a woman who was being arrested and called something out. The National Guard is pushing
Go National Guard! Go National Guard!
forward on the command
Kick some butt!
move, and people are pushing against their shields.
Just hold it in there, man.
Hello, Shelby.
Looks like they're going to have to be arrested.
No, wait a minute. My niece just says that got called a racist today because I said the same. The Facebook posts are annoying. Okay, Jesse Ring, hello, and hello, Heather. Hello, Heather. How are you? One of my other nieces watching. I got all sorts of family watching. It's so cool.
We can't get any closer. The media is being kept here.
Hear the cry from the crowd. Yeah. What the hell is that? Dear Lord in heaven, that's racist. Oh, here's Bernie Sanders about 4 years ago at Mount Rushmore talking about how it's magnificent.
This is our country at its very best. What an incredible achievement.
Visiting Mount Rushmore today, Bernie Sanders taking in the majesty of the moment. This monument to 4 great American presidents.
Just the accomplishment.
Wait. Did CNN just say there were 4 great American presidents? Ooh, listen, just watch what I have coming up.
And the beauty here. It really does make one very proud to be an American.
Sanders,
an American who wants to convert the country to the former Soviet Union,
has his own mountain to climb.
Yeah, just being able to stand upright, actually. Here's CNN this year talking about the 4th of July and Mount Rushmore.
Fireworks, parades, ceremonies, the celebration of U.S. independence, once declared by founding fathers that wrote, all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their creator with certain unalienable rights.
I think they were saying cisgendered men, thank you very much, those sexist homophobes.
That among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But the very rights.
Nick says that he's a racist. He says he hates all races. He says marathons are the worst. 5K is not so bad.
Being celebrated on Independence Day are the same rights that millions of Americans say they and their ancestors have not been allowed to enjoy.
What does Independence Day mean to you?
I will always be a proud American. But that doesn't mean I don't realize the faults and the flaws that this country has.
Well, no shit, Sherlock. Everybody says that.
For historian and author Jesse Holland, that includes the injustice that has led to unrest across the country, the inequalities in communities of color highlighted by a pandemic.
Let's not forget the personal choices that have been made by some who are very poor. For instance, not staying in school or not having babies and not being their fathers, or a 60% abortion rate, or the fact that in some cases 70 or 80% of inner city families do not have dads in the household, or the fact that the black murder rate is 10 times the national average. But other than that, America sucks.
I think it's fair to sometimes question whether America loves African Americans as much as we love it.
I think you're full of shit, to be quite honest, and I'm tired of your bitching about everything.
We can solve these problems if we just do it together.
But we're all here for it, okay? We're all here for it. The problem is that some people choose to throw temper tantrums and wreck everything, all right? There are people in this country, we do come together, we don't give a rat's ass about race. Idiots like these people at CNN, they're the ones who want to divide us.
93-year-old Opal Lee, independence must commemorate the freedom of all.
And you know what? And she's been through a lot of stuff. She's seen a lot, unlike millennials and Gen Y who have not.
Including Juneteenth, the day enslaved people in Texas learned that all those enslaved in Confederate states had been freed.
And by the way, I am all for making Juneteenth a holiday. I mean, of all to celebrate a day of slavery ending in the country, oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah. I don't even need the day off, but I definitely will celebrate the day that slavery ended.
And I'm advocating that we have Juneteenth from the 19th to the 4th of July.
Well, I think maybe just one day. One day's pretty good. We got one Independence Day. We don't do a week. It's not Hanukkah.
No, slaves weren't free on the 4th of July.
As Americans face a reckoning over racism,
No, it's not really a reckoning over racism. I didn't grow up in a racist country. I've not committed acts of racism. It is not 1968 all over again. This is all bullshit. This is all a class of entitled children who need a something for their generation. They need to be to claim victimhood in some way, shape, or form while diverting away from very poor life choices.
And present. There's no message of healing from the White House. Instead, President Trump is calling a Black Lives Matter street mural a symbol of hate. I'm
going to say that because the Black Lives Matter movement is a Marxist movement not based on preventing police brutality in any way, shape, or form.
New York City announced it would be painted in front of Trump Tower. He's also demanding protection for symbols of the...
Now, this is, by the way, the president who brought the black unemployment rate to the lowest in recorded history. And I'm kind of done. Kind of done with this. In Little Italy, in Baltimore, they took down a statue of Columbus because George Floyd died. Now look at these morons. This is about police brutality, right? This is about George Floyd, right? No, the Christopher Columbus statue has to come down. In Little Italy, Columbus was Italian. Listen to these morons cackling. I'm seeing a lot of white faces.
Get him in the over. Get rid of this nigga. I don't fucking like Christopher.
Oh, there's some profanity, of course, from the dipshits in the crowd. I hope that the police were paying attention. I hope that some faces were being recorded, and I hope some people go to jail. Donald Trump the other day said that it's a 10-year minimum sentence. I hope that some of these little pricks end up going to jail. I think America's tired of it. What do you think, Mark? What do you think about Nick? Nick, my nephew, Nick. How you doing, buddy? I miss my bro. I miss your dad. I really do this year. It's tough. It's really tough. My brother Dwight passed away last year, and it's been really tough. It's been really tough. The NBA has released a list of approved statements players can wear on their jerseys. So, and here's the deal: I've got two hashtags that I've come up with. Hashtag I'm so done with the NBA, so done with the NFL. Both of them. Here are some things that players can wear on their jerseys this year in the NBA. I can't breathe. Justice, liberation, stand up, listen to us, nonsense. Put a number on your back and go play the game. You play games for a living. You make millions of dollars, and you play games that most of us stopped playing when we were children. All right? The NFL said they're going to play a black national anthem before the first game of the season, as well as the national anthem. And I am suggesting that if the NFL wants to separate us with the national anthem, that they should go ahead and go forward. And also, if they want to really achieve this separation, then they should go back to. And I'm not promoting this. I'm not advocating this. But I'm saying if the NFL is willing to say that there is a separate black national anthem, there should be separate black water fountains and separate black restrooms. Also, I think separate black beer vendors. You should not be able to buy beer in the same facility as other people. There should be a black beer vendor place if you're going to have the black national anthem. It kind of makes sense, doesn't it? Doesn't it kind of make sense that if you have to have a black national anthem and it is a sanctioned thing by the NFL, and the NFL is going to be racist enough that you have to get rid of an anthem that unites us all and separate black people by their own anthem? Wouldn't it make sense? Black parking lot, right? Black players' jerseys should only be worn by black people, right? Am I right? Give me some love on the on the screen. Give me some emojis if you agree. I think that if the NFL is going to be all in on this black anthem thing, that you should not have a jersey that belongs to a number that belongs to a black player. If you are a white person, you should be able to, when you go in to buy your jersey, which kind of bums me out because I've got a Pierre Garçon Redskins jersey, and I've got a Randy Moss, an old school Randy Moss jersey from the 1990s, and I proudly wore them, and I didn't even think that they were black people. But if the NFL is going to say that there's a separate black anthem, then I would assume that it's not going to be okay if I wear my Randy Moss or my Pierre Garçon jersey because I'm a white man. Right? Shelby's, give me some applause there. Thank you very much. Norm says that the NBA can just dribble. Nick says, holy hell. Nick Gutcher. And then there's my nephew, Nick. Nick, glad to have you. Nick, my nephew, good to have you watching. And we'll see you at the family reunion coming up at the end of the month. Trying to decide what to bring. I like to cook, so, I'm going to bring something good. Here is riots in Portland. The federal courthouse under attack there by morons. Of course, the slogan the slogan in Portland is "Keep Portland Weird." They should call it "Keep Portland Really Effed Up," then surround it with a giant wall and seal it off from the rest of the country. Oh, and do that with Seattle too. Nick says the only knee I'll take is Tanya Harding style. Not sure what you meant by that, but here's the deal that this is the first time that that Democrats have been supportive of taking a knee with regard to the NFL since Monica Lewinsky. She took 2 of them. Take a knee there, Monica. Better yet, take 2. Thank you. Maybe there should be some new Black Lives Matter knee pads, just because you're going to take a knee. And you saw the Democrats the other day, they were kneeling with those kente claws on their neck. Then they really need knee pads. Knee pads have been endorsed by the Democrat Party for a long time. Now you just need one. There you go. That's Portland descending into hell. Here is what they did to the federal courthouse. So nice. This looks good, doesn't it? It's a new show on HGTV. It's called Black Lives Matter Makeover. Antifa Makeover. It's the only show where the different buildings they show turn to absolute shit rather than starting out as absolute shit and being awesome afterwards. My wife loves HGTV. This could be a new thing. You got F12, which means F the pigs. There's pigs. Honestly, you need to come up with something new. This is like the 60s. Pigs, dude. Power Big Floyd. Rest in Power Big. Oh, that's Floyd. That's George Floyd. Yeah. Kill the pigs. Make peace. Make peace. That's funny. Hold on. It says make peace there. That's pretty funny. Funny. Federal courthouse. Here's the police chief of Portland talking about Chuck Lavelle, who happens to be a black guy. Talking about the destruction.
I'm Chief Chuck Lavelle of the Portland Police Bureau. I wanted to take a moment to address the incidents that occurred in North Portland last night.
Norm says, as a resident of Oregon, I totally agree with putting up a wall around Portland.
We've experienced weeks of demonstrations that have turned into almost nightly unlawful assemblies, civil disturbances, and riots. We've had law enforcement facilities.
Did somebody else say National Guard? I'm saying National Guard.
Facilities and personnel.
It's time. All right. If Dwight D. Eisenhower sent the National Guard into the South, it's time to send the National Guard in for this shit.
Targeted with violence, including the barricading and burning of an occupied police facility on more than one occasion.
In Portland, several police stations had the doors blocked and were set on fire while people were inside. These people need to go to jail. The people doing this need to go to jail. This shit needs to be stamped out like the butt of a lit cigarette on the ground.
Last night, another march occurred, this time in a residential neighborhood, where many families were at home and some were likely sleeping. Once again,
Norm says he got some knee pads from Kamala Harris.
And crowd members,
slightly used. Did you get those on eBay?
Targeted police, threw projectiles, lit fires, and threw fireworks at officers. Dumpsters were lit on fire and pushed towards a precinct. Several officers were injured. There was a high level of concern about the safety of the officers, but also significant concern for those in the neighborhoods surrounding the activities.
Let's move forward to the end of the statement.
Be injured. No one had to be subject to arrest, force, or munitions. This happened because some people chose to engage in violence and destruction. We will always support everyone's right to peacefully protest. But what is happening nightly in some parts of Portland is not that.
It is not. And it needs to be stomped out. Somebody called me an anarchist the other day because I said that these violent protests need to be stamped out, and they do. Doesn't make me an anarchist. I'm responding to anarchy with force. And that's what's needed. This is kind of a cool piece about Donald Trump and what's going on in the country, set to the lyrics of Linkin Park. I like this.
What truly matters is not which party controls our government, but whether our government is controlled by the people. For too long, a small group in our nation's capital has reaped the rewards of government while the people have borne the cost.
Now, this is what Draining the Swamp is about. Everything that has occurred this year in this country, the reason why all of this has accelerated, whether it be COVID-19, whether it be George Floyd, whether it be forgetting George Floyd and moving into full-on anarchy, all of this has existed this year to take down Donald Trump. That's what this is all about, kids. This is about draining the swamp. This is about a man who went into Washington, D.C., and I lived in Washington, D.C. for a dozen years. I've seen this. I've been in steakhouses where a hush fell over the room when a senator entered the room, a Democrat senator, and everybody acted like it was a big deal. And all he is a representative of the people. It's moved beyond that to the proletariat and the bourgeoisie. You and I are the bourgeoisie. It's been played out 1,000,000 times. Donald Trump is the antithesis of that. And everything that happens that is negative in this country now, everything, every act of anarchy, every ounce of flags being burned or monuments being torn down or whatever, is about this, defeating this man and preserving the status quo in Washington, D.C. That's what this is all about.
The establishment protected itself, but not the citizens of our country. That all changes starting right here and right now.
One thing I told
Go get them. Orange man good. Orange man good. I thought that was kind of cool. Here is Kayleigh McEnany the other day being approached by a reporter about Black Lives Matter. And by the way, Black Lives Matter is a terrorist organization. It is not an organization. It is not a charitable organization. It is a corporation. It is a channel to funnel money into the Democrat Party. It is. And I unapologetically say F Black Lives Matter. It's bullshit. Pigs in a blanket, fry them like bacon. Done with Black Lives Matter. Here is Kayleigh McEnany being approached by a reporter in a presser the other day about why the president dissed BLM.
Why is the president calling Black Lives Matter a symbol of hate?
Well, what the president was noting is that that symbol, when you look at some of the things that have...
By the way, I love that dress on her. It is perfect. She is totally a summer.
...been chanted by Black Lives Matter, like pigs in a blanket, fry them like bacon. That's not an acceptable phrase to paint on our streets. Look, he agrees that all Black Lives Matter, including that of Officer David Dorn, Patrick Underwood.
Wait a minute. Is that a crucifix? That's a sign of hate. That's probably white supremacy.
2 officers whose lives were tragically taken amid these riots. All Black lives do matter. He agrees with that sentiment. But what he doesn't agree with is an organization that chants pigs in a blanket, fry them like bacon.
Okay, she's like small and slight, but she is totally kicking this guy's ass.
Our police officers are valiant heroes who are out on the street protecting us each and every day.
Americans of all races have protested in all 50 states around that phrase, Black Lives Matter.
And they've also destroyed billions of dollars worth of property and killed some people and injured a lot of people.
And the president is here calling it a symbol of hate?
He's talking about the organization. I would note to you that the Greater New York BLM president has said if this country doesn't give us what we want, that we will burn down the system, and I could be speaking literally. I'd call that a pretty hateful statement.
I would say that I agree with you, Kayleigh. Thank you very much. Next question. So there's a guy named Marcellus Wiley. And he was on, he's got a TV show. I'm not a big sports dude. Asked about Black Lives Matter and particularly the NBA supporting Black Lives Matter along the, the sidelines of NBA games. And he doesn't think it's a good idea because he's done some research on Black Lives Matter, the organization, and how it really doesn't give a rat's ass about Black lives.
So Marcellus, I'm going to start with you. Yeah. Is this a good idea? It's not a good idea. I do want to give the players credit for their flex to even get this to be more than just an idea, but something that's going to be in reality. I give the players that. But there's a problem with when you start to go down this road of the freedom of expression, freedom of...
This is talking about NBA players openly advocating for Black Lives Matter and all this stuff.
Speech and how much social space is allowed for those who don't support in that same space. And that's where I wonder where this is going to go.
Here he goes.
In terms of identity politics, we know what identity politics does. It divides and it polarizes. No matter how you want to look at it, that's just the effect of it, no matter how great the intentions are. And we all know the road to hell is paved with good intentions. So it's an interesting play right here. I don't know how many people really look into the mission statement of Black Lives Matter.
Oh, this is where it gets good. Watch the mission statement of BLM.
But I did. And when you look into it, there's a couple things that jump out to me. And I'm a black man who's been black, and my life has mattered since 1974.
I think he's been black all that time. I could be wrong because you can identify as other stuff now.
And this organization was founded in 2013. I'm proud of you. But I've been fighting this fight for me and for others a lot longer. 2 things. My family structure is so vital, important to me. Not only...
Listen to this, because this is all that matters with any family.
The one I grew up in, but the one I'm trying to create right now. Being a father and a husband, that's my mission in life right now. How do I reconcile that, what I just told you, with this mission statement that says, quote, we dismantle the patriarchal practice. We disrupt the Western prescribed nuclear family structure requirement. when I know statistics, when I know my reality, forget statistics. I knew this before I even went to Columbia and saw these same statistics that I'm going to read to you right now. That children from single-parent homes versus two-parent homes. The children from the single-parent homes, this is in 1995 I was reading this. 5 times more likely to commit suicide. 6 times more likely to be in poverty. 9 times more likely to drop out of high school.
Wait a minute. This can't actually be a black man saying this.
10 times more likely to abuse chemical substances. 14 times more likely to commit rape. 20 times more likely to end up in prison. And 32 times more likely to run away from home. I knew that. You know why I knew it? Because a lot of my friends didn't have family structures that were nuclear like mine, and they found themselves outside of their dreams and goals and aspirations.
Now, let me go ahead and clarify. The nuclear family is a great thing. I will also say that if two people are committed to one another, and that may be 2 men, and that may be 2 women, and if they decide they want to commit themselves to their lives together and raise a child, I don't give a shit. All right? So it can be a man and a woman having a baby, and that's glorious. But it can be 2 men who commit themselves to their lives together. I don't sound very conservative. Oh, my God. Ah! But if you're gay, you love one another, and you spend your life together, the soul doesn't have a penis or vagina, and you want to raise a baby, hell effing yeah! But at least there are 2 parents there. There are 2 parents there willing to give a child a loving home. And I think about all of the black kids being raised by white families. And I've been a part of the fostering and adoption process for years. Race doesn't matter. This guy is saying some great stuff.
So when I see that, or as a mission statement for Black Lives Matter, it makes me scratch my head. When I also see their mission is to eradicate white supremacy. In 2020, white supremacy is the mission. Woo, that's a lot of digging through minutia right there.
Love Marcellus Wiley.
I am on a show that I'm hosting along with another black guy who is hosting with me, who replaced another black guy. And that's just one example of it. So I understand, I respect your space. I respect what you're protesting for. But will you respect others who don't support that same protest?
No. If you're on the left, you won't. You'll just try to bully people into silence. Like my friends who I'm no longer friends with. Here is the CHOP, the Chaz movement. It was a Chaz in Seattle. And they wrecked things, and they took the Occupy thing to a new level of destruction and murder. Horace Lorenzo Anderson Jr. was a 19-year-old kid who was murdered in the CHOP zone in Seattle. Nobody knows who did it. He was a 19-year-old black man. Another 16-year-old black man was murdered. Another 14-year-old is still in the hospital. Black Lives Matter. George Floyd. Yeah, right. This movement didn't give a shit about George Floyd or Black Lives. Horace Lorenzo Anderson Sr. has not gotten a call from the mayor of Seattle because the mayor of Seattle is a fucking piece of shit. She and her policies with her summer of love failed this man and a lot of people who were assaulted and robbed, businesses destroyed. Here is Horace Lorenzo Anderson Sr. talking about the President of the United States, who, by the way, I think is a white supremacist, calling him about the death of his son.
I still ain't heard from the mayor. Incredibly, Donald Trump called me. The President of the United States called me today and talked to me today.
What did he say?
This story was completely buried.
He gave his condolences, and me, I'm not a political guy, so I'm not. But I told him, I didn't know nobody like you. I'm real. I said, nobody like you, but on this camera, I tell you right now, Donald Trump called me, and he didn't have to call me. He didn't have to do nothing.
Can you imagine the pain he's gone through? And this is a loving father. I saw the interview with him and Sean Hannity the other night, and it was heart-wrenching because I have a son who I've invested 20 years of my life in him to get him where he is. And can you imagine losing your son in this way? And because of a Democrat mayor at a supposed Summer of Love zone, your son goes there and gets murdered. Here is the full story from, I believe this might be King TV in Seattle.
The father of Horace Lorenzo Anderson told us that he still has not received a call about his son's death from the mayor of Seattle. But he did get a condolence call this morning from President Donald Trump. Q13's Matt Lorch has more on the memorial from Kent.
There was an overflow crowd and overflowing emotions today here at this funeral home. And the father of the 19-year-old killed inside the chop says he was touched to receive a call from President Trump.
That's my son. By the way, Nick says, I had no idea that Trump called him. No media. They did. I want you to watch this man's heartbreak. I want you to watch this man's heartbreak as his son was murdered and the goddamned mayor of Seattle didn't do a effing thing about it.
And the father of the 19-year-old killed inside the chop says he was touched to receive a call from President Trump.
That's my son, and I loved him, and that was my son.
Did you watch that? Did you watch the agony of this man with regard to his 19-year-old son gone forever? Talked to Sean Hannity the other night. Did you watch this? This is a life that matters.
Day night, the father went on Fox News to share his pain and frustration.
It's like they didn't care. It didn't matter. I haven't heard from the mayor. I haven't heard from the police department. I haven't from no city and nobody.
He says he got a call this morning from an elected leader, but not Seattle's mayor.
I still ain't heard from the mayor. Incredibly, Donald Trump called me. The president of the United States called me today and talked to me today.
What did he say?
He gave his condolences, and me, I'm not a political guy, so I'm not, but I told him, I didn't know nobody like you. I'm real. I said, nobody like you, but on this camera, I tell you right now, Donald Trump called me, and he didn't have to call me. He didn't have to do nothing.
If Donald Trump is a real white supremacist racist, why would he make that call? I wonder. Here is, there have been a lot of protests at the Museum of Natural History, which is based on the Night at the Museum series and the Teddy Roosevelt statue in front of the building. That was replaced by, Robin Williams in Night at the Museum. And it's a statue of Teddy Roosevelt, who was not a racist, accompanied by a Native American and a slave. But of course, it's bad, right? The visual makes it bad, even though he was not bad. But here is a lot of people there saying that, BS, don't take down the statue.
Oh, yeah.
Come on.
Do you know my
I don't care what letter is next to your name. If you're not defending this country, you don't get my vote. I hope as well they don't get your vote.
Come on.
Take your fucking privilege and get back over there. Thank God we do have someone with some balls, some chutzpah in the White House.
Because we didn't stand up at midterms, abortion is legal up to 9 months, but yet they're still saying Black Lives Matter. I don't understand it. Businesses are leaving New York as we speak, and they're never coming back because of our leadership. When you see injustice, where you see people getting killed, where you see poverty, you will always see it's a Democrat ran city. From the top to the bottom.
I'm the shadow, I'm the night, and I'm the day. Yeah.
I want to say hi to my dear friend Bobby, who's watching. It means a lot. Jeremy and Jason, hello.
Do you know my name?
They pillage our cities, they loot our stores, they destroy our communities, they erase our history. Enough is enough.
My name is
Come on.
Fire, Fury, Power. My name is
The Young Republicans.
Legend.
Those who do not or attempt to erase history are doomed to repeat it. America's made a lot of mistakes. Every country in America, including France, has made mistakes. But we learn and try to become a more perfect union. Don't act like it's 1968. Don't act like it's 1868, because it's not. It's not. Here's a pro-police protest, oddly enough, in Queens and New York.
Thank you. Happy 4th of July. Thank you, everybody.
Can you imagine what it's like to be a police officer in America today? Can you imagine? I can't, because, honestly, if I was one in New York or L.A., I'd say, F it, I'm done. A lot of people, by the way, in New York said, I'm going to go ahead and retire. I don't blame them one little bit. Don't blame them one little bit. Not one little bit. All right. Let's move on to a little bit lighter stuff, I guess. I think I made my point with regard to this is not 1968. It's not 1868. And a lot of this is nonsense. George Floyd should not have died. Doesn't mean that Christopher Columbus statue should come down. Doesn't mean that Aunt Jemima needs to go away. Aunt Jemima's relatives are like, that made her famous, and she was proud of what she did. Gone with the Wind was taken off of HBO Max. It came back because people made it the most popular movie in the country again, because Hattie McDaniel, the Best Supporting Actress nominee in 39 or 41, 42, was the first black actress to win an Oscar. Hattie McDaniel was the descendant of slaves, direct descendant of slaves. She was an actress, and she was brilliant. Leftists said that the movie needs to be removed because it does not depict the horrors of slavery. It's a movie, idiots. It's not a documentary. It's not live action footage of the Civil War. But Hattie McDaniel acted her heart out, and she got an Oscar. And she had to have a separate ceremony because they wouldn't allow her to sit in the same room with all the Hollywood types and get her Oscar. And HBO Max is saying, we can't run Gone with the Wind. Now they're running with a warning. Does not depict the horrors of slavery. Oh, God, you people are so stupid. You people are so stupid. Hello, Greg and Tim. Glad to have you. This is a shocking moment here. Hold on, shocking. A man who was on an airliner. Now, here's the deal. I don't like wearing masks. I think they're bullshit, to be quite honest. They're not going to protect you from anything. I think they're a way to exercise control. I went to Walmart today and the gym without wearing a mask. Because I think, and I've always said that this whole coronavirus thing is, I think you should protect those who are vulnerable. That's it. Okay? But it never needed to exist to close down the entire country. Here is a man who went on a Spirit Airlines flight on Friday, refused to wear a mask. Here's the thing. If your governor mandates a mask, you say, F you, governor, I'm not going to wear an effing, mother effing mask. Because it didn't pass muster. It did not pass through the state legislature. It's not a law. So F you and your effing masks. Now, if Spirit Airlines says, if you want to fly one of our on one of our planes, hey, you got to wear a mask, then you put a mask on. Okay? That's just the way it is. Here's this guy being kicked off for not wearing a mask.
I didn't do anything. So by the time the investigation is done, if you know that you can't go to another issue right now. You cannot go to right now on the witnesses. I'm going to interview everybody. I cannot interview everybody. Huh? Tell me why I'm not flying. To me, right now, the reason doesn't matter because they don't want you on the flight for reasons that you can now go and sue them if you like.
Put a mask on or get off.
Everybody takes a drink from their drink. They take their mask off. They take their mask off to drink.
I know, it's stupid, but it's a rule. There's a guy right there. He should be removed because his nose is sticking out.
So,
I didn't get in nobody's
That's
face.
racist.
Did I get in anybody's
That's
face? Did I get in
That's
anybody's
racism.
face? All of these people on the plane. I didn't get in nobody's face.
I know, but you're it's an idiotic rule, but that's what they're saying.
Sitting here waiting for
Let's
you to
move
come
forward.
for this country.
If you take him
But I didn't even
Here
say
we
much to her. I haven't even got to see the bathroom. And I said to the judge, test me.
Don't want. They're not letting us in.
Sorry. Yeah, you don't wear the mask, you don't fly on the flight. That's it. I know it sucks. I hate it. I really hate it. Stupid. This is kind of funny. Well, not really funny. 72-year-old camper decided to advance within 10 feet of a bison in Yellowstone National Park. And you don't do that. Apparently, they have rules everywhere. I've not been to Yellowstone. I'd love to go. And I'm planning on doing it. But this 72-year-old woman said, "Oh, buffalo like a little kitty. I'll go ahead and pet the buffalo." Well, she was thrown through the air like 15 feet, and she was gored by the buffalo. She's okay now, but don't pet. The buffalo's not a kitty. It's a giant 2,000-pound animal.
An Anoka County family's vacation has become part of a national news story.
They helped a woman who was gored by a bison in Yellowstone National Park. David Schumann spoke to them about the frightening situation.
The lady
Hello,
got
Marcia.
way too close. She just kept provoking the bison.
The Larsons watched the woman at the campsite over
Look at
from
the
them
big
as she
kitty.
repeatedly got up
Look
next
at
to
the
one
big
of two
kitty.
roaming bison.
She was trying to reach her hand out and pet the
Say, honey, I'm going to go out of the diesel pusher there, and I'm going to feed this big old buffalo. Yeah.
Yeah, I could hear the bison making noises and like blowing steam out.
Yeah, when the bison goes, starts blowing steam, it's not a kitty.
I mean, it was just an accident waiting to happen at that point.
Jenna Larson was recording the moment the animal began to charge.
Oh,
She
boy.
got thrown initially maybe 10, 15
somewhere
feet
in there.
in the air, like across, and then she was unconscious probably briefly. She got up, it hit her again.
Jody Larson is a nurse. She got some blankets for the woman who had no memory of what happened to her. Yellowstone National Park identified her as a 72-year-old from California.
Not thinking she's going to have a bison burger anytime soon.
She didn't get hit in any like vital organs. It was just 2 gorge marks on the sides of her.
The Larsons say from the moment you arrive at the Wyoming park, there are signs everywhere saying don't approach the wildlife.
If you don't bug them, they're not going to bug you. Like, especially when you go camping.
Yeah, they're not big kitties. Yeah, they're not your friend. Brandy says natural selection comes in many different ways. Dave and Dan and Fast Eddie, thanks for joining me. This is interesting, guys. I'm going to share this with you because I'm a geek with regard to science, and we live in extraordinary times. And even though in my 54 years, dear God, I've been on the planet 54 years, seen some incredible stuff. I mean, I don't remember the lunar landing, but I remember the first video from Mars, and I remember the Hubble Deep Field, and I remember the shuttle, and I remember the creation of the internet and the iPhone and the cell phone. It's crazy. I remember seeing the first images of Pluto about 5-6 years ago when they saw the first images of Pluto. This is the ESA, European Space Agency, sending back stunning video of a flyover of a frozen crater on Mars. It's 51 miles across, a half a mile deep, and it's ice. Ice, baby. And you were alive to see this. Frickin' we have existed. The universe has existed for approximately, 15 billion years. The Earth, maybe 5. And you are coming to Earth in consciousness in a time that this is seen for the very first effing time from Earth. All violence, all Black Lives Matter, all Antifa, all political shit aside, you saw this. You You saw this for the first time in human history. I'll have a martini with Martian ice shaken, not stirred. All of your deceased relatives missed this. Your ancestors missed this. For the first time in human history, you're seeing this. Holy shit. That is pretty cool. Right? That is pretty cool. Are you a pet owner? Do you have a dog? Walter Jeffrey is a 6-year-old dog who lives in Austin, Texas. Popular Instagram pet, apparently. 786,000 Instagram followers. Why? Because the dog has an unusual howl. The dog sounds like a person. I love my dogs, but wow. This dog, listen.
Just breathe. You're laying on top of the couch like you're not supposed to. Wow.
I love dogs.
Wow.
Could be an Antifa protester.
What does going on here? I'm going to have to start calling you biodegradable because you break down so easily.
Huh?
Walter. What is wrong? You're not even getting in the bath. What is wrong? Walter. Hey. How do you expect to get gas?
Okay, that's great. That's great. They sound like Antifa protesters when they don't get what they want. They just kind of scream. This is, I admire this person, by the way. This next person, I admire. Hello, Masha. Hello, Ronald. How are you? Glad to have you joining me. And Jeremy. Hello. Hassan Kaval, 29, Izmir, Turkey, paraglider. I effing want to do this. I want to live his life. I want to go paragliding. I want to paraglide. I want to hang glide. I'm terrified of heights. I want to do this, so I want to do it. This is my next thing. This is the next thing I do. This is what I want to do next. I'm going to do it. I don't think I'll ever do it this way, but by God in heaven, this man kicks ass. Paragliding on a couch watching TV. Come on! I love this. Groovy kind of faux vinyl couch. On a cliff. Getting ready to launch. I love this. Here he goes. Doing the setup. Here he is taking off. He's saying, holy shit, we are going to take off. Here he goes. This is so cool.
I love this man.
I love this guy. I want to do this. Wow. Just wait, it gets better. I'm going to take my shoes off like Mr. Rogers. Can you imagine how effing cool this is? Hanging on a couch. Doesn't have a any kind of a safety belt on. He's going to watch some TV.